All right. I was wrong about the switch. I'll admit I was probably wrong about the switch having been replaced. And I'll tell you why I thought the switch should have been gold. I've owned Les Pauls with gold hardware, and I seem to remember them having a gold switch. I have bought these switches in gold. So clearly, like, I went and I looked on the internet, I saw the comments, tons of people said, no, that's the right color switch. And they were right. I saw the pictures. It's probably the right color switch. The thing that led me to believe, aside from the color, that I thought was wrong, which clearly wasn't, was that I also didn't see this shielding here at the end of the switch. So maybe it was tucked too far back in there, but like usually when I've seen them, you can see that. The other thing was that the switch seemed to be one of those shorter switches, not these longer switches that you see in Les Pauls. Now, obviously for people who watch me regularly, you know I'm no expert, I'm learning as I go along, and this time I was completely 100% wrong. I sat there and I said, yeah, it is what this is, and I was wrong, and I feel like an idiot. I feel like an idiot because it detracts from the overall point of the fact that the guitar was still sold to this person. Clearly it was faulty. And then when he took it back to have it repaired, they couldn't repair it for him. They just told him, we can't repair this. We don't know what the problem is with it. So I posted this video like an idiot, and like right away a dozen people were like, oh, it's got to be a dry solder connection on the board. Like, if a dozen people who in the YouTube comments right away figured out what this was, like what the problem could have been, don't you think they should have been able to figure out that problem at the store? And now that I think about it, like, I only have this board because this is one of the ones that I yanked the pots off of. But don't you think they would have figured out at the store? Like, if people in my comment section, that's, I guess, you know, that's, I guess, where I'm going with this now. Like, if people in my comment section figured out that it must be a dry solder connection from where the pickup is connected to the pot, right? So obviously it's not this, right? It's not the actual line on the board, but one of the solder points from where the pickup gets connected to where the pot is. So if the dry solder connection is where the pickup lead enters, then we have effectively solved the problem by bypassing that by connecting the pickup to the pot, which means he can now put back in his original pickup so it'll look original and factory, and we can bypass the connection straight to the pot, which means then that the pot, so unless the pot has a faulty connection elsewhere into the board, which would be right there, so unless this connection is faulty, and if that is, then we can just touch that up, right? We can just look at the back of the board, pull the whole back of the board. Now, I don't really want to get into resoldering those little points on the board, but we could. But if it was one of these, that would be easy to fix. So anyway, turns out I'm a complete idiot. I never claimed to be an expert, but I was pretty convincing about, I have to admit, I was pretty convincing in the video about what I thought was a smoking gun. So, lesson learned. Before I open up my big mouth again and say that something is 100% I'll verify that. So I apologize to my regular viewers. Hope you can forgive me. And I hope that that one little small detail doesn't detract from the overall point I was trying to make, which is surely there was something they could have done at the store to figure out. Like, if people in my comment section right away figured out what the problem could have been, surely a trained, see, I'm not being paid. Like, I'm just a guy, right? Like, I barely know this person who brought this Les Paul to my house. He was just buying a set of pickups from me on the notion that it might resolve his problem. And then because he happened to know me and because he happened to know what I did, he asked if I would look at it. And I looked at it and he told me his story and I just thought, oh my God, that sounds crazy. Like, why at the store couldn't they fix that for you? Right? Like, if a trained, paid guitar tech can't work out what people in my comment section worked out without even touching the guitar, that's really, I mean, that should be the takeaway. But anyway, I do apologize. I'm sorry. Hopefully you can all forgive me. See you on the next one.